Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the analysis on Podium International TV. Today, we have in the studio our father, he's back. Our father, Daddy Alex Oluwole Ajala. He's here, hale and healthy with us today. And also, we have Mr. Kayode Mola, my co-host, as usual. And today's topic is the price of freedom. What is the price of freedom? We all know, and we congratulate ourselves on the release of the Yoruba Nation activist, Chief Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho. He was released last week, and the whole Yoruba nation, the whole Yoruba people were jubilating. But at what cost? I will invite our father to open the discussion. Mr. Jalasta, you have the floor.
The cost is enormous. It cannot be quantified. I greet everyone listening to us today, and the fact that I would say we are all free. We have been uh, in an entrapment with Igboho because a lot of us who could talk were afraid to talk. A lot of us who could make actions to make things happen were afraid to make things happen. And I kept on saying that to respect the presence of Igboho, we need to continue where he has left off. Thank God today he's back. Maybe it's a reawakening for all of us. The price is enormous, cannot be quantified. It is a reawakening to the promised land. That is the sovereignty of the Yoruba nation on the African soil. So I'm, I'm very happy, and I thank God for his life. And I thank God for, I was not one of those who believed all those nuances of whether he was sick or he's been injected, because I believed it was not true. It's only imagination of àwọn tí máa pè ní àwọn àdàmọ̀dì ọmọ Yorùbá. Èyí táwọn ọmọ kan máa, some of us call them, wọ́n ní tí ewé bá pẹ́ náà ṣe ó dọṣẹ, kò kí ń ṣọṣẹ gidi. And that's the fact. And we need to get to the reality. It's not, the pure Yorubas were never happy about what happened to Igboho. And the pure Yorubas were always looking towards the dissolution of the amalgam. Like I always say, it is not an agitation. When you have an agitation, you have a third person coming to say, okay, what is the problem? Let us mediate. We are not looking for mediation. We are saying we are calling time for an improper amalgam, which even the authors of the amalgam said it was a temporary measure in part and in place. So it ought to have gone long time ago, but our people, the Yoruba race, sustained the existence of Nigeria. And one of them, the great Abba Macaulay, was one of those ringing the bell of Nigeria. The question I asked as a young man that time was, I was in primary school, did our forefathers create Nigeria? Did they have meetings with the Hausas, Igbo, and Fulanis to say, okay, we want a country called Nigeria? The obvious answer is no. We have been in a situation where we've been fighting and killing each other, the process of low-intensity warfare, bloodshedding, and a major war against the people of the Igbos, which we erroneously call civil war. I didn't call it civil war. It was not a civil war. It was a program against other people, because those fighting them fought without any compassion. They fought to death. That is a fact. We cannot actually say how many died in the Igbo land during that time. Some estimate 1.5 million, others say 3 million. And those others who died out of maybe extraneous factors, collateral damage, lack of food, or even running away from danger and running to another danger? Is that what we call a country? We need now to understand that we have had enough time with Nigeria. And funny enough, the other people that we are part of Nigeria with have always called for the dissolution. There's an article I brought up 1964, December 30, which confirmed that with time they want the country dissolved. And even right from the beginning, in 1953, the leadership of the North didn't want anything called Nigeria. They wanted just a common free trade area. That's cooperation and no central government. But when we forced their hands into it, what happened? The rest is history. This is where we are now. Most of us in Europe and America, running away from our own homeland, not Nigeria, I mean Yoruba land, which was trapped into Nigeria. It's like a people uh, trapped into a glass bottle, running helter-skelter, not knowing that they could break free by breaking the glass bottle. This is the time that we know that we can break free. I'll stop so far. And once again, thank the Lord for the health and the health and the freedom that Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho. It's an area I know when I was in Igboho teaching and in Kishi and all the Gono. I know the area very well. And one thing I want to remind you that there was 1976, there was a sort of something called Nigerian Motor Rally, which started from Badagry, via Lagos, Badagry, through that corridor, straight on without getting to Ibadan, and through Igboho, Kishi, Kiama, Yewa, up to Sokoto. That was a survey of the route they want to take. Because the North always sees itself as a landlocked area. I have a lot of friends amongst them. Why? I want to know. I interviewed them. We are very friendly. But they tell me they're hearts of hearts, that they're a landlocked area, and that any development that should come to Nigeria should start in their own area. And to emphasize that fact, if they have to take their own country to an Arewa Islamic Republic, they need a corridor to the sea. And that is why they've been fighting hell to take the land of Yewa via Egbado down to Badagry and take over that place. If you look at a map of Nigeria, that corridor is parallel to the boundaries of Benin Republic. Is that not where they've been driving our people off? They subtly have settled their people in those lands, bribing our local chiefs. Àwọn fẹ́ ralẹ̀, àwọn fẹ́ máa sin màálù káwọn máa tà fún yín. Ṣé àwa náà ò ní màálù ni? We had. And màálù ti wá dáa ju kí wọ́n lọ. We want to stop so far and give room to others to contribute to this very important discussion. Once again, I greet Sunday Igboho and thank God for his life. I thank God for the inspiration he has given all of us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. K.
Thank you, Coach Tak, and welcome back to Baba Jala. It's good to see you back, Hale and Hardy. Yeah, the price of freedom is enormous, just like he said. Something that could take your life, then it's unquantifiable. It's unquantifiable. And we would recall that on that fateful day, on the 1st of July, 2021, 2 people lost their lives. Innocent people. I think most of the people in Igboho's house that day had only just visited him. And this was 2 days before the Lagos rally. So we can see that people were now aware, self-aware of the suffering they are going through. So we see the rally in Ogun State, which was a success. We saw the rally at Osun State, which was a success. And it was building up gradually. And we saw the mega rally in Akure. And that was like a time bomb for the government. They said it was a fluke. People are not ready for freedom. And then they saw the rally in Ekiti after Akure. And the rally in Ekiti shook the whole place. And the international community got involved. So the grand finale was supposed to be Lagos on the 3rd of July. And quite a lot of international organizations says they will come and witness it. But because of the terrorism of the Nigerian state, the government who is active in terrorizing their people do not want their people to be free. They said this rally must not take place. And that was why they went to do their dastardly wicked act. Their aim that day was to eliminate Sunday Igboho. That was their aim, by any means necessary. So they brought talks, they brought, at first they denied it, but thank God for a brave lady who was recording the whole event live, who recorded the whole event on social media. So people were following what was happening. And when they saw that their secret was already leaked to the public, because that was the same thing they did for Fela Anikulapo Kuti. They went to his house, busted his house, did all sorts of atrocities. So the Nigerian government is being known to be a terrorist government. They terrorize their own people without due process. So eventually, Igboho was forced to leave the country. And that was a hefty price to pay. Now, a lot of people may ask, he was looking for his safety. Why can somebody not get safety in his own home, that he has to run away from the comfort of his home? Majority of us today, we go and apply for visa, we want to run out, we spend thousands of dollars, thousands of pounds renewing visas, renewing stay to stay in a foreign land. It's never our dream. It is because of this same hostile environment by these same people. And that is what is making people say, no, enough is enough. And truly, the price of freedom is unquantifiable. It is unquantifiable. And we thank God for somebody like Sunday Igboho, who have stated that whether it cost him his life or not, Yoruba nation has come to stay. And I want our people to believe and have it in their hearts of hearts that we are fighting for a just cause, and no price is too much to pay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. K. Now, I would like us to look at it this way now. When that incident occurred on the 1st of July 2021, it shook the world, not just the Yoruba people, not just people in the country called Nigeria. It shook the world because people were really surprised that you could just go into somebody's house and kill unarmed people and just think you can get away with it. You even took the body with you. The Nigerian army first denied it. Eventually they admitted because of the good woman who recorded everything live. So it was undeniable. Now, what does this mean? Because the gentleman has been on the run. He had to run for his dear life to leave a place where he was being persecuted and try to leave and continue the battle. it wasn't like he was abandoning the journey. He needed to continue the battle in a different way, because there's a saying that goes, "He who fights and run away for now lives to fight another day." So he needed to secure his own life first before he can defend his land. Now, he's been held for several months. Justice prevailed. He's free now. What next, Daddy Ajala?
What next is that those of us who are also now dropped the shackle around our minds and souls, should not give up the campaign. The campaign should be intensified. First of all, we should reach out to the minds of our people at home, those who still don't understand, those who still don't believe that the Nigeria we see does not really belong to us. It does not belong to even the North or East. It belongs to nobody, but people are taking advantage of its presence by virtue of the continual political accommodation that we are lying to each other. For example, when a politician from the South goes to the North to campaign, we look for a translator. And a politician from the East comes to Yoruba land, he will look for a translator. That shows that we are not a country. And that is one of the diseases of the African continent. It's like an albatross on all of us, the black race in Africa, starting with Nigeria. We need to redefine who we are. We need to recreate nations on the basis of common ancestral origin, language, culture, and tradition. And those around us who could work with us to have referendum to see if they can join such nations that are going to emerge. I'm saying emphatically, the African nation is just on the threshold of redefining itself, starting with Nigeria. And I believe very strongly that if Africa needs to develop, we have to go back to reconstructing our new nations. We are not living in our own nations. We are living in the constructed nations, trading posts, spheres of influence for Europeans, of which unfortunately some of us do not know the definition of nations. We call them our nation. Some of us are proud to say, Omo Naija ni mi. For God's sake, what is Niger? Did our forefathers create it? Did the Europeans meet Nigeria and then said, oh, this country is big, let us sign treaties with them? So what type of treaties? Oh, they are not powerful. Okay, let's see all their chiefs and then let us sign treaties with them so that we can trade. And what type of treaty? Which is the type they signed with the Yoruba group of kingdoms, led by the Alaafin of Oyo Adeyemi the First. The treaty in 1888 was a treaty of friendship, trade, and protection. A treaty of friendship, trade, and protection. So they entered into us. So that does not make that territory our own. Belongs to those who signed the treaty, the traders. And then we became a colony. So those are the steps. We were not a colony before we were created. We were a Yoruba group of kingdoms with other affiliates like the Shekiris and the Edos with us. And even, and the Jos and others. So you see, these are the things I expect our eminent historians to have researched into, to put into the open space, even if it is not taught in schools, to have what we call the storytelling agenda. Most countries that are there today, they always have the storyteller in every town and village. to educate the people of who they are. We've lost that now. For example, history has been cancelled in Nigeria, although they are lying to us that they are trying to reintroduce history into Nigeria. Okay, they are trying to reintroduce what type of history? I'll tell you, the average young Igbo man does not know the dastardly things that happened in the Civil War. They only know there was a Civil War because I had asked one man I met at the Ben Television some years back. He has a PhD in mathematics. He attended University of Unsuka. He left in 1984. 1984 is a little bit far behind, far ahead of the years of 1967 to 1970. Do you know that he does not know the history of the destruction of his own university?
Hmm.
He doesn't. I was telling him that all the classic books in their library, some of them were brought out by these Fulani soldiers and set on fire and put the kettle to boil water for their tea. When I told him, he said, are they eating the books? And you are a PhD holder. Can't you understand that this thing was used as a source of fuel to fire the kettle to boil water for their tea? You see, I felt sad for him. With his education, he does not. So that is why I'm talking to let all of us who have gone to school, the white man's school, to think back into ourselves, to understand who we are in our own way, as a Yoruba man or as a Igbo man or as other nationalities in Nigeria. I didn't use the word tribe. We are not tribes. We are different nationalities in Nigeria. It's an insult to call us tribes because we are like settled people with industries and development in our own way, no matter what level we were before the white man came. After all, we had metallurgical industry in Yoruba land. We had weaving, we had dyeing, some of which the white man classified as some of the best dyes in the world when they came. And one so that the dyes we were producing were better than theirs. Theirs were just recently produced in the 1800s.
And most of our people were taken to America to teach them in their universities on how to dye clothes properly without.
And then also even the vaccine, Johnson Bere, it was our forefathers who were taken as slaves that taught them how to. It's a black origin, it's a Yoruba origin. So there are, you see, I'm not trying to elucidate on all this. It's just a passive reference. What we need to do is to educate our people that we don't have a country. Our country is Yoruba land and it needs sovereignty. We are a free people, but what we lack now is the sovereignty to stand tall so that we can be registered at the United Nations and all other world bodies to be recognized. That is what we are fighting for. It is not an agitation. We are calling for a dissolution of Nigeria because it's not fit for purpose, using the Churchill's language of in 1802 when he was talking to Lugard. He said the northern territories was not fit for purpose, should not be part of. And if the French had won the diplomatic battle between the British and them, most of what we call Nigeria today could have belonged to the French, including Sokoto, could have been under the French territory. Check the records. So what is our pride? We are a parchment of people put together for trade. And even before the traders left, they warned us that it's their presence that was keeping us together. To quote it, is the presence of the British that is keeping Nigeria together. But our elders who went there did not understand the diction, or they refused to understand it. They were more interested in having a country they didn't really know.
Well, another thing I would say, because you yourself, you've read the amalgamation document. Myself, I've read the amalgamation document. If you go to the National Archive, those documents, you will see the original where it was housed. The documents were housed in a place where they kept it with many African records. So you see the records of South Africa, you see the records of Uganda, you see the records of Nigeria,
all other places where
all other places.
Yeah.
And those records were kept hidden from those freedom fighters for independence. Like the amalgamation document was not to be released until 1967. So it was a classified document. Majority of the people who fought for the freedom of Nigeria, how conversant were they with what really happened? I don't know.
I will tell you something. I will tell you something.
After the independence of 1960.
I'll tell you something. They were not really hidden. Although there were certain bounds on top of them. The document that you read, if you look at the back, was sold for £1, £1.03 in 1922 at the Her Majesty's publishing press.
Sure. Yeah, and it was in the House of Commons as well.
Yeah, it was sold for that amount. If our people who were around then cared to find out.
Yeah, because when it was sold to the British or other peoples who were aware. So between 1910,
hold on. We should not be apologetic about this. That's the point. It was in the open space. Although the other one you were talking about, there's the 1919 to 50 years plus 50. The letters of Lugard were supposed to be released after 50 years. But all other side papers of his were already published. And you could
because I went to the National Archive and I saw his letters, all his exchange with Viscount Harcourt.
Yeah, those details. And some of those details were also extracted by I.F. Nicholson and published in 1969. The book was supposed to have been published in 1960, but he didn't have time to complete it because he saw there was a lot of work to be published. But at the same time, there were references to this, even without the documentation. There were warnings that were in the open, and even Lord Littleton warned. You see, it takes a little. Wọ́n máa ń sọ ní èdè Yorùbá pé àbọ̀rọ̀ náà sọ fún ọmọlúwàbí. And Bade Thomas also warned. Professor Banji remembers it that wọ́n sọ pé Bade Thomas sọ fún wa pé kì í ṣe kan náà. That let everybody go separate ways. Papa Adeniran also, late Papa Adeniran. Although I knew about it a long time when I was young, but these elders kept on saying what I already know. But sometimes I find myself in the midst of this knowledge that I want, so eager to let others know, but they seem not to be listening. They are more interested in my beer and whiskey.
Mandy just said something, sir.
Yeah.
Mandy said, I love the idea of storytelling. Parents should start telling their children the story of the makeup of Nigeria and understand who we are as Yoruba people. So I would suggest, my suggestion would be, we start a storytelling program.
Yeah, I will. I support that. I support that. I'm happy Mandy said that, because we need to know exactly who we are and where we are coming from. We should stop educating our young people that Nigeria is a circumstance place that they must exist. It does not really exist. After all, thanks for that this statement. The president at some point was addressing the country, or what they call the nation, in its own language. Does everybody understand Fufude? What he was expressing is contained in my book, I think it's nearby here, that we wrote in 1999. And it was an extract from Arewa publication of 1996, where they stated that their language must be the national language of Nigeria. They
Possibly.
were
How
making
many are they?
a case. It doesn't matter, but having not fooled ourselves into having a political accommodation with the people who do not want us, I
Exactly.
it doesn't matter whether they are
They
10.
don't want us,
uh,
and they don't want us
but
to
we are
leave.
the ones that are wanting them. We keep on trying to. When a Yoruba man says we should dissolve, I must so. But I can list a long list of Northerners who have been calling for the dissolution of that country. What happens? Even in
Okay, but
19,
now we're ready.
yeah,
Why are
no,
they not
but
letting us
most of
go?
no, it doesn't matter. What matters now is that we should stand tall. We should ignore whoever is saying no. Most of them are still interested because they are planning to have their own
Oh my God.
Islamic Republic in 2026. I'll tell you that
Hmm.
frankly now.
What
What
I
if,
see in the situation.
hold on, if we keep on holding on to Nigeria, we will become provinces of that republic. And that provinces they will now establish emirs. Because one of the greatest one I've been telling our people, all the Seraki's in our land are prepared emirs.
Yes.
When they
Because
are
why would you
prepared
come and
emirs,
put
it has
a
a
king in someone else's land?
yeah,
Seriki
and
means
that
king.
that is what some of us, when the ambassador to Britain went to see the Emma's house, did not understand the strategic reason. He came to confirm: is it true that a Seriki has established a palace in Yoruba land?
That's what I don't actually understand, and we're accommodating that.
And yes, and even Sanwo-Olu immediately won his election. The first week he went to pay obeisance to the Seriki.
Uh-huh.
I
Acknowledging.
felt like shooting him if it was possible, but even not shoot him, to sit him down to educate him that you
Yeah,
have
shooting him with words. Yes.
no allegiance to this man. He has an allegiance to you, and you have the right to
To
tell him
us,
to
it's on our land.
pack his land, pack his palace, and go to Sokoto.
We can't go to Sokoto now. A Yoruba man cannot go to Sokoto and establish a palace. It's not possible.
Although they are
We can't
lying
go to
that
Sokoto.
they
We
have
can't go to
over you
Kaduna
by
and establish a palace. No. But they will come to Yoruba land, establish a palace,
because
and even
ẹbí
Yoruba people
àwọn
will be saying Danzaki.
and unfortunately they think the Islam that binds both of them together is true Islam. It is not. The Islam in the south is different from the Islam in the north. They don't respect us, and that's one thing we should hammer into the minds of our own fellow Yorubas who are Muslims.
Muslims, yeah.
They should not enslave themselves into the hands of these Fulanis. They are evil. This man said it. I have the right to say it because they are a very cunning people. They are trying to establish. Okay, look at even the bold statement of Ahmadu Bello, who called Nigeria the estate of Usman Fodio. He said that, and that they are going to confuse us not to know how to sort out our future, particularly the Yorubaris. And they are succeeding, but we will stop them on the tracks. We are no longer going to be subsumed into a place that does not belong to us. Nigeria does not belong to us. We are only living in it, borrowed times.
Mr. Moses, thank you, sir. Mr. Moses Adeleke said, now, what's the way forward? We understand the history, but the history will help, propel the actions and the future. But is there what's the way forward? That's what Mr. Moses Adeleke is asking.
I will implore Mr. Adeleke for understanding this to tell more people, because I know around him there will be some Yorubas who will be telling him, okay, what are you struggling for Yoruba nation for? There are a lot of people who are still saying that. But I now want to challenge them. Nígbà tí wọ́n bá sọ èdè Yorùbá pé kí lẹ̀ ń ṣe nípa kí lẹ̀ ń ṣe tẹ̀ ń tanra yín, it's him tó sọ èdè Yorùbá ló ń tanra ẹ̀. Tí ò mọ ibi tóun ti wá, he does not understand that he has to now tell more and more people that Iletiya, we have to have our new nation back. That's the way forward. It is not a gradual process. It has to be a rapid one of educating our people.
Hmm. Thank you, Daddy Ajalasa. Mandy said the concept of merging together people from different cultures, different background, different ethnic origin, and different political ideology is totally wrong. Yes.
Yeah, and I will support her statement, although that's my grounds. But a white man said that in 1998. He published in the Times newspaper uh, of London, the Financial Times. He said that it was a great misfortune and dangerous attempt to force people of diverse culture, language, and political leaning into one single rigid political unit called Nigeria. He was one of the uh, um, colonial officers in Nigeria then. He was wondering why the Nigerians are forcing the hands of the British to retain Nigeria. There are several statements by Southerners who claim that most Nigerians want Nigeria to be together. And the journalists who asked, who are the most Nigerians? So at that point in time, in the North, less than 1% understood the English language. There's, who are the most Nigerians? It is our fault. So this is why the re-education of the minds of our people. And then the attachment principles of us respecting those who have uh, put us into this danger. We still respect them, but we'll
Hmm.
say in every nation, there are people who have been great and at the same time misled their people.
Hmm.
We
Thank you.
cannot deny that.
I want to play media now, sir.
Okay.
1 second. Mr. K.
Okay.
Thank you for staying with us. Freedom. How can we be free? What's the way forward? What do we need to do as individuals? What do we need to do as a people? What do we need to do as the kingdom, according to Baba Jala? We have individual responsibilities. What do we need to do, Mr. K?
Yeah, like Baba Jala said, the greatest revolution comes from the people. Not many people, when you don't know that you are in bondage, when you don't know that you are in bondage, it's difficult to fight for your freedom. And they said the worst people to fight for their freedom are happy slaves, because they are happy with the crumbs they're getting that's falling from the table, not knowing that they could also be at the center of the table, where decisions are made. Baba Jala has said so many things about how we came to be, and how so many Europeans have been telling us, you need to escape, you need to run. And the existential threat to Yorubas, Igbos, the TVs, the Jukums, the Anang, the Ijos, it's never been so greater than this present time.
Mm.
Because we've never been conquered. Yorubas, we've never been conquered. We've fought wars, we've lost wars, we've won wars, but we've never been conquered. And it's a shame. We signed a treaty with Britain for protection. But today, what do we have? We have a lot of our people who are being murdered in cold blood.
Lord.
And the world is looking on. They're not saying anything. The people who are dying in Nigeria today, for no fault of their own, as a result of both states and bandit violence, it's more than what is happening in many other places of the world. But these things go unreported. We see people dying daily, people being kidnapped and taken to you. Then you ask, where are the so-called services? Where are the first responders? Who should respond to all these atrocities? When the Nigerian state can go to another country to kidnap its citizen, I mean, and nobody, the world is silent about it. Nigeria is, for that alone, Nigeria should be banned from many international organizations for breaking international law. But no, they are happy to do. There was no sanction on Nigeria. Nigeria is chasing their own people out of the country through violence, and nobody is saying anything. Igboho had to run for his life. Two of his associates died, and nobody is saying anything. And the Yorubas, where you call them and say, we need to fight for freedom, look at what is happening to us. Some people are either fighting for 2023. Some people are either fighting for what they will get. It's going to be their own turn. Some people are fighting that it's now the turn of the South, so the Yorubas should be the president. How is that ever going to save us from this current predicament of
that we found ourselves in?
It's worse than slavery. What we found ourselves is worse than slavery, because as a slave, you know you want to fight for your freedom. But now, people who are
Happy
bound in
slave,
chains,
yeah.
people who are bound in chains, because it is an invisible chains, they don't see it that they are in chains. The people who they took those days, I was in Calabar and I went to the slave museum. And if you see the horrible way slaves were being transported on 30, 40 days journey to America, one slave will sleep on the boat, your head would be on the edge, and the next slave would put his head at your own leg, and his leg is at your own head, just so that there is no communication, with chains in their hand. And that is the kind of condition our people. So immediately they get to the Americas, to the Jamaicas, to the Caribbeans, they remove the fetters from their hand. It doesn't mean that they are no longer slaves. They are still slaves. The fact that the chains are not in their hand did not mean that they're not slaves. They were still slaves. So our people now, quite a lot of people, their eyes are so closed to the realities on ground. And that is why we need to, I love the comment of Mandy that say, we need to start telling our people stories, because when they don't hear these stories, they don't know what obtained. And when Mr. Adeleke was asking about what's the way forward, we need as many people as possible to hear these stories, to know what has
Share the
happened to us,
information.
to know what has happened to us as a people. Because what has happened to us is barbaric, and what is happening is still barbaric, and it is a result of the events of yesteryears, and we need to correct it. Papa Jala was saying earlier, he said the people who fought for the independence, they had information at their hand, but they, Thomas warned. And that is the same way Professor Akintoye is still warning today. But the people who are hell-bent that they want to take this money to hell, they want to die with it in hell and burn in hell. They don't want their people to be free, provided they can get the largesse of other people's blood, other people's sweat. And those of us who are enlightened to know the truth, we just need to continue to voice out to make sure our people know that what we have is not a better situation and we can have better. For many people who are thinking, oh, it is only when I get to America I can enjoy the goodness of life. It's only when I get to UK, it's only when I get to Germany or when I get to Japan. We can get the best of best even in Yoruba land. We can live in skyscrapers. We can have good roads. We can have good schools. We can have good services. We can have good communication. And we can live a happy life with the people.
In our own land.
Exactly. We can build all these things in our own land, and it will not cost us anything. You hear a lot of people telling you, I don't have money for school fees for my children. I don't have money for hospital fees for my children. And I'm not getting my pension. I don't have jobs. How can you not see that it is the problem of Nigeria that is making you not have all these things? And when we say, they say, oh, no, let's keep quiet. No, we don't have to keep quiet. We need to start singing it like song, and not just singing it once and leaving it. We need to sing it every day into the ears of our people, that this is our problem, and if we don't solve it, then there is nowhere we are going. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. K. So basically, people should go on to tell their friends, tell their family. Yes, sir. Daddy.
You are muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Who, me?
No.
Okay, Daddy Ajala. Oh, we can't hear you, sir. Maybe you should leave the studio and come back in. Then your audio will be fixed.
Yeah, Mr.
You
Mano
press
was
the
saying,
leave the studio button. You press the leave the studio button and you come back in, sir.
He was shocked and embarrassed many years ago when some of his German friends were telling him about the Biafran War. Biafran history is being taught in German school. But we in Yoruba land, we in Biafra, they hide those history from us. They hide those stories from us. Even Britain tell us about the Norman conquest in 1066, more than 1,000 years ago. They tell us of the conquest of the Normans. They tell us of the Civil War in 1465. They tell us of the so many atrocities that has happened to the British people. They tell us all the many things, the things that have brought Britain to their knees and the great things that have brought Britain up. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. They don't want our people to know.
No.
They keep information from our people. So because the majority of them were not born at that time, and if you don't give them the story, they don't bother to find out. I challenge a lot of people to go back and say who is their ancestors to their 4th and 5th generation. They are not white men. A lot of Nigerians think Nigeria is British property.
Rightly
so, because we were colonized by them. But the land belongs to us. The land is our forefathers. The land belongs to us, and it is a place that is bequeathed to us to build.
I'll tell you
and
something.
If we don't build it.
When we talk about history not being told to them properly, we have issues as well. We have to fix a lot of things about ourselves as Yoruba people as well. Myself and Mandy, in preparation for tomorrow's show, our Mokaro Jire, in preparation for the show we're about to start, our Mokaro Jire, the Yoruba program, telling of the stories will be incorporated into the story. Now I'm thinking. Now we were doing a research into the history of Yorubas, and we went into Audible. I challenge anybody to go to Audible, Amazon Audible, audiobooks. We're looking for audiobooks on Yoruba history and everything. We found audiobooks written by Yorubas.
All the history books you will find are history books of Europeans.
Mr. K, narrated by white people. We even found a lot written by white people, telling us about Orunmila or Oduduwa. White people, what are we doing? Why are we?
And I will tell you, majority of those stories are distorted.
Exactly.
Because you cannot have another person tell you the story of your house.
Of your own land. Myself and Mandy, we were ashamed for our people.
Yeah. A lot of stories and a lot of history was written by Johnson. And Johnson wrote this, not Boris Johnson, by the way. Johnson wrote this story based on the colonial interpretation of Nigeria. Now, I read the story of, I read the description of Yoruba people by Professor Lang. Now, Professor Lang, in one of his history, said the present-day Yorubas migrated to that place in 3 waves. And I was shocked. That how can somebody write that about, and this is a foremost professor in Germany, that we migrated. And he said the first one was when the Israelites escaped from, somebody said Reverend Samuel Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ladimir.
Professor Lang said the first was when Judah was conquered and the Israelites fled. And that's when the Yorubas came. That was the first phase. Then he said the second phase. And then he said the third phase was when the jihad happened in Saudi Arabia. And the Yorubas fled to Yoruba. And for somebody who do not know, they would think, oh, that is true. But that is not fact. That is a made-up story.
They make it appear as if we're Saudi Arabians.
Exactly. But so that is not fact. I have it on authority that Yoruba people have been existing in that present land for over 10,000 years. So how can people who have been existing in a land for over 10,000 years be people who are fleeing? Now, we cannot, people who fled from Saudi Arabia or people who fled from Judah, yes, they may have come and become Yoruba, but they are not the original people who began the Yoruba dynasty.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Daddy, we can hear you, sir. Welcome back, sir. Okay. We were talking about how...
I was listening to it.
Okay, sir. Yeah, I'm sure you will have a very
angle of that. Very different versions. And, well, the Yoruba race is a very ancient race. And that's why even our religion, which has been copied into other religions over the millennia, particularly the way we worship. And if you listen to our other imams and pastors, when they are chanting, it has an element of alale in it. And that's why, fortunately, some of us, of our people, are able to call things to happen. And they are able to use the 4th and 5th dimension of nature to make things happen around them. And then to call the names of the earth, the leaves, even the soil, that had been exhibited even during the First and Second World War when our people were fighting on behalf of the people who created our country that they now called colony. There were places where the Yoruba gifted would stop a whole tank from shooting and use his hand to cover the nozzle. The Japanese were so much scared if a black man was coming after them just with a simple gun. It was written clearly in this London Illustrated magazine sent to our school in those days in the 1960s. They were published from the uh, archives here. And like I say, there's nothing hidden. There's a lot that is kept safe. That's the point that I would say. There are a lot kept safe so that they don't get lost. Just like the University of Ibadan Library, the other libraries of our universities were not kept safe, and there's not a single whole book in most of the libraries today. And most of the books you now find are the books that sent by alumni association, not by provided by university. Magazines, you see, I have to link all these things into trying to explain that the Yoruba race had been an ancient race. And if we calculate, this year will be 10,065 50 year of the Yoruba existence. And by 7 BC, Iwo was the center of metallurgical industry. Ask from any Iwo citizen, there's a place called Okeeleru or Iwoeleru. It's recorded in ancient texts that are
Okay,
published.
Elerusa.
Yeah, or Iwoeleru. That was the remnants of metallurgical processes. The same thing, the area of Isonlusi in old Ilorin province, which they now call Kwara, using a northern name to describe a Yoruba territory. It should have been Ilorin state, not Kwara state.
Hmm.
It was Ilorin province. They used Kwara state to try to bring, of course, most of the civil servants that worked at Kaduna were employed from those southern belts of the country where education had filtered into. And the first lawyer in the north was a Yoruba man, happens to come from Ilorin, happens to have been born in Lagos, but was, I will let you know the name later because I can't remember everything of it now. But he was from Ilorin, Yoruba man, and that was in 1930s. That was first lawyer from.
Was that Sir Power Williams? Because I know Sir
No,
Power
no, no,
Williams was one of the
no,
first lawyers too.
no, no,
Hmm.
not that one. But most of them were all from Ilorin province. There was actually a referendum to put Ilorin and Kaba province in Western.
Ihoeleru. Okay. Mr. Emmy Oladimeji
Yeah,
said
it's
it's
Iwo,
Iho.
it's IWO.
Iwo,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ihoeleru.
No,
Not
Iwo,
Iwo, it's Iwo.
Ìwó
Iwo
ẹmọ
Eleru.
ìlú tí ọba kan ti ń ṣe kámàkàmà tó rò bí òun ò kì í ṣènìyàn tó ń
Haha,
pera ẹ̀ ní
Iwo.
Fúlàní. Ìwó ni IWO Ìwó Elérú.
Okay, Ihoeleru.
Yeah. You some ancient books of the history of the past, ancient history of the world. You find it in the timeline. When you get up to 7 BC, Iweleru happens to appear also there. And that's a Yoruba.
Okay.
A Yoruba
We are running out of
okay.
time now.
What I'm
It's
saying is that we should not, races of the world have moved. And if I will tell you that there are traces of the fact that there will be Yorubas in the ancient past in Newcastle, here, the ancient past. There have been black people in all over Europe. Even the TASS this court in Russia, there have been blacks, and some of them happen to be of Yoruba origin. And one of the things we tend to forget in those of us traveling to Nigeria, that we have relations in East Africa, the Luos. They are of Yoruba origin from Oyo.
Mm.
And the Luos happen to be the nationality of Obama. So by
Wow.
extension, a Yoruba person had been the president in the biggest country
In the
in the world.
United States.
He knows.
That's
And
achievement for Yoruba people.
one of the things why, which certainly he wouldn't say, he did never visited Nigeria, did he? He saw Nigeria as a junkyard, pretending to be a civilized country. That's the way I see it too. I see Nigeria as a junkyard of people, particularly the Yorubas, deceiving themselves that they think they are developing, amassing wealth without
Oh yeah.
reasoning.
Okay, it's back.
Yeah. Yeah. Amassing wealth without reasoning. We are a great race. We have traveled the world. We've passed through Canaan. Our time was not the time of
We're
either the
entrepreneurs.
yeah,
We are
we've been great
civilized.
people. We have moved. When most of Africa were still putting leaves as clothes, we were already having woven textile in
Mm.
Yoruba land. And that can be
Ashoke.
attested not only aṣọ, as many times aṣọ ńlá tí wọ́n hun ní òfì tó tóbi tó máa straight òfì, and then the long one tó common ní kíní ní
Alari.
kíní ní ìlú Ìsẹ́yìn and other places. You see, my mom happened to be one of those textile technologists of the past. My uniform to primary school in the 50s was woven on her loom. Because first of all, got the raw cotton, put into threads, and put it on the loom, and wove it. And she was a tailor. She sewed it. I'm very proud of her. Very clean, very white, spotless dress made by a Yoruba lady. We've been industrious. We've been having what I call every town of note had places where you have the alágbẹ̀dẹ and the àwọn tó ń ṣe goldsmith.
Mm.
We are not buying gold from outside. We will buy raw gold from Kumasi and come and shape it into whatever we wanted. My grandfather will happen to go to Kumasi to get gold to use in the marriage of my mother's mom. He told
Thank
me.
you very much,
And I
Daddy. We
remember.
actually have run
So,
out of time completely now.
yeah, okay. By the grace of God, we'll be on again next week.
Yes, we'll continue this topic next week.
Yeah.
So the long and short of it is information is key. If you're
It's
just
power.
joining us, you're watching the analysis. Sorry, Matters Arising. You're watching Matters Arising on Podium International TV on YouTube channel. Very soon you will be watching it on Podium International online TV platform. Today with me, as usual, is Mr. Kade Emola and our father in the house, Pa Alex Oluwole Ajala, who always comes to shed light on our history and help us to unravel the mysteries and the things that we don't understand or that might not be clear to us as young people. He takes us back in history and he beams light on the future for us. So if you're just joining us and you're not subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe and hit the bell button so you will always know whenever we're here. And also share the information. Tell people, share the history of Yoruba people. Very soon on this platform, myself, Mandy, Sabanji Iloge, Papa Ajalaka Demola, we're coming together as panelists to start a program called Awa Mokaro Ojiri, where we'll be talking about the culture of Yoruba people, who we are, We want to celebrate the Yorubas. We want to open the eyes of the young ones, make you proud of being a Yoruba person. We are Yoruba people. We carry our kingdom on our shoulders. We don't want to call it tribe anymore. I used to call it my tribe. But from today, Baba said, no, it's not a tribe. We have a kingdom. So the Yoruba kingdom must be built to...
Benny.
Sir?
Many Benny Yoruba group of kingdom.
Yes.
Yoruba group of kingdom.
So kingdom. Lani.
Sorry to cut you. That's why when I hear a lot of people that say, "Oh, we'll remove all the kings, we'll drive them away," I just look and I say,
"No, that's the beauty."
I don't know where these people have got to learn this culture from.
Yes,
exactly. So thank you very much for joining us today. For all the people who contributed, Moses Adeleke, Emi Oladimeji.
Oh, I'm at home. I'm going nowhere. All right, thank you. Bye.
Dave Malo, Goji, everybody that joined us today. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, Saturday at 12 o'clock UK time as usual. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè á dúró ti gbogbo wa o.
Àmín.
Ọ̀nà á là fún wa.